Testing. Testing. Testing.
And then Gary, I was just going to put it down by the speaker for the computer too, to pick up the audio of the videos. So that, and we'll see how that works. If it's not working, like, just tell me somehow. It's not turning on. Right, now I just have to figure out how to turn the TV on. Okay. Okay. Well, so a lot of it can be here. Too, we have videos of people. But I can't turn the TV on. Stupid TV. See, Will always does this for Sunday mornings. I need my son. Oh, it's just, does this need to be on? That's the problem. Well, maybe this will work now. Yeah, it wasn't working before, but maybe it's because the TV wasn't. Yeah. Sorry, guys, we're almost ready. Is it here? Oh, this is the one for the TV, though. No, that's the one for the computer. You were right.
You guys rolling? Does Steve
Oh.
need to be here? Question?
So I can find from over here.
I can be, yeah.
Okay. If you and I share this mic? One of them. Which one that- I could unplug it and put it in two. There we go. So if you tell us it's okay, then we can. Good evening, everybody. I think we're ready. We want to support your time. So I know some of you have friends who are eager to participate in the live stream, and unfortunately, we have Oh, is it live? Oh, so thank you everyone who's with us. That's even more super exciting. I am representing several groups, but in front of you here right now, this moment, you have 3 members of the steering committee, Joe Nagel, myself, Jim Connell, Pat Masterson, and then also we have Therese Mullen and Tim Needles, who've been participating in this process, and Tony Coyne from St. Pat's. Our role has been really to help shape the process. And then we have a number of people, and we're going to be introducing them later, from the work group who, Father Gernick did a really nice job, and I didn't want to correct him, but I am going to correct him. You're not here to listen to us. We are here this evening to listen to you. We would like to do about a 12-minute presentation. Most of it's videotaped, so that will limit how long we're talking. From different members of the parish community representing different groups, just so that you know kind of why we're here today. But first, we really want to start by thanking you for participating in this process. As Father said, there are going to be more opportunities for us to listen. What we're going to do today is do this about 15-minute presentation, and then we're going to give you about 9 minutes. We have some reflection questions, 3. So it's about 3 minutes per question to kind of sit quietly, think about it. We have pencils, we have paper if you want to jot. If you're with us virtually, there's also going to be a way to enter in on a website and to enter your thoughts for us on that website as well. We'll share it when we get to that point. And then we're going to pair up with a partner and kind of just take a few minutes to reflect about what our thoughts are, and then we're going to break into a little bit bigger group of 4 to 5 people and answer those questions as a group. Christy Bartley, I'm going to call you out right now. Wait for everyone. She is capturing all this information for us. So she's going to take your notes from the big paper and help us compile it so that the work group can go through it in terms of looking at ideas for the future of Malachi's. But we definitely want to remember our past as we move towards our future. So Father mentioned Rosie. Let's see if this works.
Hi, I'm Rosie Baker, and I'm a self-employed organization development consultant, lucky enough to be working with St. Malachi's in the strategic planning process.
I don't know why. We tested this right before in the sacristy, and the pictures and everything were showing up. Let's try again. Did I have it like this? Maybe I had it like this when we were doing it. Maybe. All right, let's try one more time.
Hi, I'm Rosie Baker, and I'm a self-employed organization development consultant, lucky enough to be working with St. Malachi's in the strategic planning process. I had met Brother Phil, who led me to Father Gernick, who said he was really looking for somebody to help lead the parish through a strategic planning process. So he's asked me to guide the design, the facilitation of the process, as well as any implementation of the strategic planning process that we're undertaking together. So you might ask what really strategic planning is. And it's really a direction-setting process that any organization can undertake in a complex way. My biggest reality, looking at our strengths and capitalizing on strengths, looking at our weaknesses or challenges, and also current and pending or projected opportunities and threats that might be in front of us are all pieces that need to actually be researched by a group of people before a group of people decides what are possible options for us for the future. And so I want you to know that any planning process can be messy, it can be frustrating, there can be ups and downs, but it's part of grappling with what is today and lucky enough to really have the strategic planning process steering committee led by Pat Masterson and the strategic planning work group led by Kathy Gernick that are actually working to come up with those discernible options that option teams can explore. So I hope this is helpful for you to understand what strategic planning is. And I want you to know I'm honored to be partnering with you. And I hope I get to meet some of you in the option teams process, part of the strategic planning. Thank you.
You want that mic?
Well, as Rosie said, and as Kathy said, this focus is 10 years. It's not going back to where we've been or where we are now. It's where do we need to go in the future? And it's a 5 to 10 year process. We're not looking about the next year or two. You were going to do this. The steering committee has begun designing the process with guidance from Rosie. The strategic working group has already been identified, and you'll get to meet them in a few minutes on a slide. If you have any day-to-day concerns about how we currently function, please share them with a Post-it note, and they'll be shared with the parish council. The goal is to create a process for the next future, the next 5 to 10 years, and to facilitate that, as our mission statement says, to serve the poor. How do we go forward? Where do we go from here? Kathy's bringing some flip charts out. We'll put the Post-it notes on the flip charts. Kathy, is this in their packet? No. So this is an eye test. This is really just the timeline for what we want to achieve. We've already selected a working group, a strategic working group. They were selected by you and by the parish. The strategic working group you met, that's the group Kathy introduced. There's a slide that will tell you who the people on the strategic working group are. As she said, it's us not directing you, it's you directing us. And the people that are on both the steering committee and the working group are people who really want to serve, not to be served. And hopefully we'll need a lot of input from a lot of people to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Within the next month, the strategic working group will get training from Rosie on the 17th of September. She will train them in the strategic planning process. And there will be a lot of data collection. You'll get to see some of what has happened already. Data collection about what is, where we've been, what else is happening in the community. And some of that will drive the process going forward. Option teams will be formed. And the option teams, we don't know how many option teams there will be. There might be 3, there might be 6. It will depend on the data that comes out. But for example, one might look at property. What do we do with the property? We already have some people interested in buying portions of the property. Should we sell it? Should we not sell it? What have other parishes done? What have other social service organizations who do what we do done? What has been successful? Those teams will go forward, and over the course of the next couple of months, we'll be collecting data and coming up with a recommendation to make to the bishop. On November 22nd, there will be kind of a halftime report. The strategic working group will meet with the option teams, and they'll have a meeting about where we are and are we on target or do we need to make some changes. And then by the end of the year, December 22nd, we'll start discerning some of the option recommendations that want to go forward to the bishop. The timeline is fluid. We've already made some accommodations in the timeline, and if we have to make more, we will. But as Rosie, the consultant, said, if you give people a year to do something, they'll take a year to do it. If you give them 6 months to do something, they'll take 6 months to do it. And I think we can probably get it done if we need to. Why is the parish doing this now? As all of you know, current membership is not as healthy as it once was. We continue to go down in our parishioners, the number of parishioners we have, And there's a lot of different reasons that may be occurring. We'll go into some of that in a couple of minutes. The average age of our parishioners is increasing. We get older and we either go to assisted living or we die. And there's not as many of us as there were 3 years ago. And as an aging parish, look at the group today. We don't have many people under 50. That's the nature of our parish. And we don't have a school, so we can't get young families to come to the parish school. Even young families who want to belong to St. Malachi's often have to also belong to the parish in their neighborhood so their kids can go to the neighborhood school. The infrastructure of the parish needs attention. You might think the diocese just wants to close Malachi's, are going to let it go. But if you think about it, look at the work that's been done in the past year, the painting of the sanctuary, all the scaffolding that's outside. The bishop has been supportive of trying to get Malachi's to have a future. He's not anxious to close St. Malachi's. But it's going to be up to us to come up with a plan of how we can make this happen. Outside organizations have made some inquiry. I already mentioned that. For example, there have been offers to buy the rectory. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? That will be up to the teams to explore. Are there other possibilities? Do we sell the property and lease it? Do we stay where we are? Do we expand? How do you work the infrastructure for the future? But I think the fact that the diocese has already been willing to engage in doing repair work around here indicates that there is a message to the St. Malachi community that you are important. These 4 reasons taken together are a rationale for the parish to undertake a planning process. And there are others. We'll go into some of them as we continue. Jim?
Thanks, Joe. The reality is, I was 21 when Peggy and I came here, and we're both 73 to now, so that tells you we've been here 52 years. And a 73-year-old trying to read this screen and share it with all of you, you know how hard that is. All I want you to get a sense of is, remember what we said. We're remembering our past and moving to our future. So we're going to do 3 very quick slides of past history. Malachi's was formed in 1865. 1865, and then 37 years later, Father Maloney writes, "This place is as good as dead due to the decline of neighborhood from industrialization." It was only 37 years after we were founded, the pastor was saying, we're as good as dead. In 1928, the parish census drops to only 60 families. That's that old eyes again. And declining donations led to restricted spending. In 1937, Lakeview Terrace came into being, and Lakeview Terrace opened, and 620 families joined the parish in 1937. So that was a banner year. 1943, we all know what happened. The original church burnt. And so then we move on. The campaign to rebuild started in 44, and in 47, this church came into existence. And then we hit another low peak in 1969. The parish transition due to changes in leadership and changing demographics led to few funds available and few people in the church. That's the year that Paul Ritz came to the site, and Paul Ritz had a very strong presence and a very strong draw. He was named pastor. He was here 5 years before he was named pastor. Wally Roth was pastor at that time. And then in 73, Paul Ritz was named pastor, and new ministries were formed to serve people in the area. In 75, the community of St. Malachi was established, and so we had both parishes operating very nicely together here in this space, sharing a lot of resources, St. Malachi Parish and the community of St. Malachi. In 1985, Malachi Center is founded by the parish and community to serve the needs of the poor. Then 3 years later, Malachi House is founded. And that was also a big point. In 2009, the merger of the community of St. Malachi and the parish took place. And so that's just a brief, and if all you could see were the spots above the line and the spots below the line, you know we lived through a lot of ups and downs in this history of this place.
No, that's okay. We'll be much better
This is a rehearsal. Some challenges from the recent past that impact our parish. Jim just mentioned the clustering process that took place in 2009. At that time, many people who were in the community left and went other places. It was divisive in some ways, but it had to happen. COVID came 2 years ago, and a lot of people went home to watch Mass on television. Some, after the COVID lifted, they went back to their residential parishes, but it's had a tremendous impact on not just this church, but churches everywhere. The question of future leadership for the parish, Jim mentioned Father Ritz. We are really at a critical juncture, and given the fact that we have an aging population, a dwindling population, we're not going to be attracting people in a traditional kind of way that we did. We need strategic leadership, not for the next couple of years, but for the foreseeable future. We need leadership that can draw new populations of people into St. Malachi's. Maybe they're different populations, people in a profession, or people who are addicts, or people who are divorced. I don't know what that is, but we need populations who are looking for a place to be. And there are a lot of people out there who are looking. There's been a cultural shift away from formal religion, and that's not just in this church or in other Catholic churches, but in churches in general. Since COVID, church membership and church attendance across all denominations has suffered. Malachi's is a special place. When people ask me about Malachi's, I tell them, if people are looking for a place to have their faith in action, Malachi's is a good fit for that type of religion. It's where the rubber meets the road. One of the most valuable experiences I've had in the last 15 years, and Stephanie had the same experience, was being on the Diocesan Pastoral Council. I was on the Diocesan Pastoral Council when they were reorganizing this clustering process. And you really do get a sense of the variety of parishes. A parish is not a parish. There are immense changes between parishes. And I think, I keep reading, and it's in the news all the time, that there are more people who are feeling lost in this world than ever, looking for some place to belong, for some reason to belong. And I think Malachi's can serve that kind of purpose for people. It's a destination where people can really make a difference. So those are reasons. There are other reasons, I'm sure, and we will discover them and move on.
Okay, so for the people at home, you missed the action that was happening. Lou from the work group was passing out a handout that Father Gernick and the parish staff created for both the steering committee and for the work group's work to kind of give us a baseline of what's been happening to our parish statistically and financially over the past several years. I pulled out some of the data for the next slide, and then Mike Canfield is also going to speak to the data. So if you are at home, we would be happy when we get to the online tool. The last slide gives you a chance to ask a question. Your question could be, please send me the data, and then be sure you put your name. So we would be happy to send that to you. But one of the interesting things is if you look at the enrollment of our parish, numerically, we have held pretty steady. Our average number over the past 6 years has been 560 parishioners, and it's been right above or right below in terms of the numbers of the folks that have been registered with the parish. However, I took all of the numbers about the Sunday offertory. So some of you are thinking like, well, it doesn't look like we have 560 people in our church on a consistent basis. So you can see our numbers really have been declining in terms of who's been contributing to St. Malachi's, and I think that's one of the more accurate ways for us to have a sense today of who's really attending and participating in the parish life. And again, we are not all the way through 2022, but we have been on a steady decline. So that is one of the concerns. The other concern Father Gernick wanted to make sure that I shared with all of you from the information that the staff provided is we have been having all the sacraments here, but when you dig down into the facts behind those numbers, really many of those sacraments that have been received here at Malachi's are from friends of members of St. Malachi's or people who have us kind of as a destination wedding location. They're not necessarily parish members. So it kind of gives a false sense of the reality that is here. And I'm going to play a video now from Mike Canfield talking about our finances.
My name is Mike Canfield, and I'm the chair of the Finance Council here at St. Malachi. I've been on the council for approximately 7 years, so I've seen where the finances of the parish have started and where they've gone, and I'm familiar with some of the trends and some of the issues that we face. I think that in terms of the broad picture of our parish, like other Catholic parishes, we struggled with mass attendance, declines. COVID obviously played a role, and there's some demographic headwinds I think that we face, particularly as an inner city parish and a city that's lost a lot of population. And if you look at where we've stood in terms of total income and in terms of our investment accounts, we've really managed to be stable for quite a long period of time, which I think is a remarkable testament to the people in the parish. If you take a look at the specific information, you can see our offertory over the last 5 years, donations have gone over $100,000, which is really significant for us because in terms of expenses, we're cut pretty close to the bone. There's really not a lot of ways that we can trim expenses, particularly in a way that would allow our people to continue to work at a living wage, which is imperative for us in terms of Catholic teachings. Where we've been able to close the gap has been with our creativity in certain special fundraising. Some of that has been extraordinary bequests that we haven't expected. Other ways include we had a deficit task force that was dedicated specifically to close some of our projection for income over expenses. We've come up with 2 really good fundraising initiatives through that have paid dividends annually. One is the St. Malachi Run, which was producing about $3,000 a year, and now it's about $50,000 a year. And the other is our annual We Give Catholic campaign, which is done at Giving Tuesday, which is after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Giving Tuesday is the following Tuesday. So those creative measures, we also did a campaign called Grateful Giving that was a way to get people to sign up for Faith Direct, online giving. So we've been able to close these gaps with different measures over time, but none of that has really changed the fact that unless we keep coming up with this type of ways to close the gap, the trend is not good. Absent those large and extraordinary bequests, our expenses exceed our income. So there are certainly challenges that we face, and that's why strategic planning is so important to us for the long-term viability of the parish. So I think we've always found a way to continue to keep ourselves afloat, to keep ourselves in a healthy position to be able to fund the initiatives, to fund the ministries, and to pay for the extraordinary repair that we do face with an aging campus. But I do think it's imperative for us to continue to find ways on the assumption that we're not going to be able to reverse those trends anytime soon. I think for that reason, it's good that we're starting to think about ways to position ourselves into the future as a viable entity.
Okay, so Mike referenced some of the initiatives that we've been doing. So we're going to do a video again, Gary. I don't even think we have to move it. So Judy Slivka, the chair of council, is going to share some of those initiatives.
My name is Mike Canfield, and
Not Mike again. There we go.
Hello, my name is Judy Slivka, and I'm the chairperson of St. Malachi Parish Council. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I'll be participating via the live stream on Saturday. I've been really happy when I've talked to the people who are involved in the strategic planning team, and it's evident that they have a clear goal of involving everyone in the parish as possible, as many people as want to be involved, and I think that's crucial. And so I'm really glad that you're here today. There are some new and exciting things going on in St. Malachi, so I'm going to talk about a couple of those. First of all, you may notice that the Sunday choir is back down in front, and that's been fun for us to sing face-to-face to you, so I'm glad to be here. Our parish has embarked on a process called radical hospitality. Now, we know we're a very welcoming place, but think about if we ask the Holy Spirit to enliven us even more to be a welcoming people. And so that's the whole idea of radical hospitality. One of the initiatives going on that really meets that goal is the welcome session. And that will be held on September 18th. And it's for people who are new or who are considering joining St. Malachi. And that'll be after the 10 a.m. Mass. Another initiative that's going on is a group from Fruitful Discipleship is going to area apartment buildings, and they're taking materials from St. Malachi and dropping them off so that people who live in the buildings can get to know us better. And I think we've seen some people from them, so that's been another welcoming thing. Hospitality is busy planning our parish picnic. That'll be on October 2nd. And that's a fun time, doing Mass in the Metro Parks and having an amazing potluck lunch, so looking forward to that. It's just a smattering of what's been going on here lately. I call St. Malachi my home because of the vibrancy and the commitment of you, the people of St. Malachi. I know, okay, yeah, we're a small parish, I know that. But it's so evident to me that the Holy Spirit is working through the people of St. Malachi. God has spoken to me in countless ways through the people of St. Malachi, and I'm so grateful for you. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say today. Thank you.
Okay, so here are the people in the work group who's not here today, will be here tomorrow, and some of us are going to be here both days. So we have Lou Kime, Judy Stowe, Chris Dusick, myself. I think that's the whole work group that's here today. We also have Kay Vine, Ed Shimo, and Jan Leach, who are working with us. And really, we are the ears. So we are collecting all this information. We have been busy. We've started researching some other parishes that have had similar challenges so that we understand what some of the possible solutions can be. We're interviewing we're calling them stakeholder groups, but partners that have served with us along the years or have been neighbors of us, so that we have a clear understanding of how we impact them and how they see us moving forward together. And then most importantly, the people I'm looking at right now, even on the live stream, because really, this is our future. So today we're going to take some time for us to reflect, and then we're going to ask you to do a survey. It is completely different questions. Some of them may overlap a little bit, but it's looking at it from a different lens. One more video. And the reason he is not talking to us, it's this beautiful face, is I screwed up. So I'm really sorry for Father, but it's a great message.
Hello, everyone. My name is Father Michael Gernick. Especially for those who have not had the pleasure of already meeting, I serve as administrator of St. Malachi Parish. I want to take this opportunity to thank our parishioners, all of you, for your willingness to participate in this important process. I'm especially grateful to the members of our steering committee and our working group, who, under the leadership of Rosie Dolan Baker, are helping us to shape this process so that it's an inclusive process for everyone to have the opportunity to have say and to be able to reflect along the way through this initiative. I'm also grateful to our own Bishop Edwin Malesic for giving us the blessing to enter into this process, and to Father Gary Yanis from the diocese, who will offer his guidance and advice as we continue this initiative. However, as I'm grateful for the leadership that has really been instrumental in shaping the process and helping to execute the process, we need everyone, including you, our parishioners and our friends of St. Malachi. We need you to be involved in this so that truly it represents a process that is inclusive of everyone's voices, and that we can truly have information to help us discern what our future can be, a future filled with hope. How can you personally help with this? There's 4 ways. The first is, please participate in additional opportunities, such as listening sessions and other gatherings and interviews. These are important pieces as we collect people's ideas, thoughts, and reflections. Secondly, please complete the survey that is being distributed. Again, the more information and ideas that we have from our folks, the more that we can be clear in the direction of some of these options. And then thirdly, if you are so inclined and available, we sure could use you to serve as a volunteer on the various option teams. While more details will be explained, and that will have some clarity as we go along, we need people from across the board to represent the parish and to help us shape what some of those possibilities for the hopeful future will be. Finally, number 4, perhaps most important, your prayers. We need, as a community, to simply put this in the spirit of prayer, entrusting this to the Lord's providence and care for us, as he has done since the beginning of our parish, and even in recent years, as we have confronted some major challenges. All things are possible with God's grace, and with your help, our hopeful future remains. Again, thank you for your time today, and as we continue this process, may God bless our parish family of St. Malachi.
Okay, so now it's our time to listen. So what we're going to ask you to do, and Chris, are those still in the back? We're going to be passing out, it's hard to see, I really get this. This ended up happening so people could participate at home, but I know we can't read it. So we have these questions on half sheets of paper, and we also have pencils, so if you want to jot down your thoughts, please, we're gonna have about 9 quiet minutes for you to sit and reflect what you think. And our questions are, what makes St. Malachi Parish different from other neighboring parishes in this community? If we, St. Malachi Parish, were able to do everything possible, everything we could dream of, with no limitations, what would that look like for us? And finally, why does the world need St. Malachi Parish? So these same questions, I'm about to move the projectors for the folks that are live streaming so they can participate. But for those of you, if you can take a few minutes, those of you who are live streaming with us, there's a URL on the slide, or you could use the QR code, and it's going to take you to a tool called Mentimeter. And all you're going to be able to do is on each slide, you're going to be able to advance the Mentimeter without me, I'm pretty sure. That's how I set it up. And go through and answer each of these questions for us, and those answers will be saved. It is anonymous. So, and again, there is a little bit of anonymity today because we don't need to have your names. You're welcome to share that. However, if you have a question or if you'd like to receive the packet that we distributed today, on the very last slide, and again, we don't know who's who on each question, please say, please send me a packet and put your name. The pencils I thought were in the bag. I have some golf pencils. Yeah, there are some there. We had some big ones too, I thought. Okay, so we're going to give everyone some time to sit and quietly reflect, and then the next step will be to partner with someone. They were in the bag. Let's figure out how many. Okay, 1 minute warning. So we've just been conspiring here, and Jim, that's a wonderful point. We're going to ask, so we're seeing a lot of people are sitting by folks they see every single day in their homes, potentially. So we want you to pair up with somebody who is not someone in your household, potentially, maybe somebody you don't know. Get us up and get moving for a little bit. This is just one thing that really struck you in looking and thinking about these questions. We do have waters up here, and as you're getting up, so the reason why we have these slips of paper about current concerns is we are hearing a lot about things that are happening now that people think need to be addressed, which are all very valid, but it's about our now and not about our future. So we have been interacting with Parish Council, especially Judy Slivka, and we are going to be sharing these and passing them along to Council. So if there's something that you would like to see be addressed that you feel is urgent for us, or something that has maybe slid under our radar, please, there's room on each side. So go ahead, take a second, pair up, and we're going to have just a few minutes to share one reflection each. Thank you for coming. So will we each just go to one of the boards? Is that the plan? Okay, I want to be respectful of all of you in terms of what you were anticipating in terms of end time here. So the next phase is addressing these questions in small groups and jotting down what our thoughts are in small groups. So we're not going to share these out in the big group, but one member of the steering committee is going to be at each of these larger pieces of paper. We're asking for 4 or 5 people, well, probably 4 since we're going to be each of those. We kind of counted up. And we're going to be the scribes for the group. And then Christy here is going to be helping us in terms of compiling this. And we're going to take about 15 minutes. That's about 5 minutes for each of the questions. There should be markers by each of the boards. Set those up. All right, we're in the home stretch here. So what's going to happen next? I'm going to give some next steps here. So we're not going to do much more today. We're wrapping up here. But the next thing that's going to happen is that this information is going to be shared, dun, da, 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 along with a survey. So there's a couple of ways you can do this survey. You can do it electronically. There's a URL here, or there's a QR code. Or if you're more comfortable with paper and pencil, raise your hand, and Lou has some paper surveys here. You can put them in the collection basket at Mass. You can mail them back to the rectory. If you are live streaming with us, again, on that last fourth slide, you can say, please send me a survey, and we'll do that. You are also going to all receive an email next week with a link to this survey, so where you could just simply click on it from your email. So that is also going to be an option. But you saw our demographic information is not accurate. It is not real. So some of the questions, and again, this is a completely anonymous survey. It's going to take you probably 15 to 20 minutes to fill it out, tops. But there are some questions so that we understand who's coming, and then why they're coming, and then what are the dreams for the future. I do want to invite you, because I know we were rushed, our group, but I think it's because I was a slow writer. If you have things on your sheet that you felt weren't captured, or that you want to make sure that the work group can see that information, again, we are not affiliating names with any of this. Can you please give it to the person who was your scribe for your group, and we will collect those. If you don't want to turn those in, you don't have to, but please feel free to do that. Does anyone have any questions? I really appreciate all of you taking this time to do this. I said there was a sneak peek. So September 24th and 25th, we're going to have another gathering, and hopefully at that point, we're going to have the information. I'm nervous that we might have more than 3 to 6 good options that we're going to have to whittle down. So we're going to be sharing with all of you what we've heard and what we're recommending to be the options. But there's also going to be a chance for you to provide feedback to us. You're like, oh, that isn't really what I was thinking, or wow, that's a great idea, but it would be even better. So again, it's not us presenting the whole time. I think we have to trim that down. We did a little bit too much talking tonight. But we're going to be here to listen to you and see how you're feeling about what our recommendations are before we go all in the options teams. Okay, so again, impossible to read. But is it Breaking Bread? Is that the Burgundy book? Am I saying the right? Yeah, in the Breaking Bread books, in your pews, on the front sheet, front flap, there is this prayer. I can't even read it, so I can say the first 2 words though. I'm going to just get us started here. So we're going to pray this together. Gracious God, as we join together in love and service of you, we ask you to fill us with new life, your life given for us. In the Eucharist we celebrate and share. Liberate us from all that keeps us from you. Awaken us to the sacred. Transform us to live your word more profoundly. Open us to appreciate your presence in each other. Guide our efforts to work together. Nurture our relationships. Enliven us in celebration and sharing of our gifts. Fill us with grace to recreate our world and restore justice. Fill us with joy to celebrate the fullness of life. Empower us to make our parish a true community of faith, hope, and love, always growing in your love. Amen. Amen. Thank you all for being here this evening. And if you have any questions or you think of something later, the work group, our job right now is to be the ears. So please share with any of us.